Did the Peace Corps, started learning about real estate, realized real estate is definitely just the best business ever by far. So I don't recommend people do it necessarily the way I did it. I just put everything on a $10,000 credit card with 0% interest and just made the minimum monthly payments because I literally didn't have any money. I think I had like 4 or 5K in a bank account. I was living with my parents and just doing this that way, right?
Welcome to another episode. I am your host, Marco Cabrera, and today we're in for an exciting treat. Joining us is Jonah Korchin, a remarkable individual whose post-peace corp's adventure led him to conquer the real estate world. Using ingenious financing techniques, Jonah turned his initial investments into a booming business that rakes in over $1 million annually. Get ready to be inspired as Jonah shares his thrilling journey of innovation and success. Jonah, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. It's Jonah Korchin, just FYI. It's okay, don't worry about it, but that's how you say my last name.
Korchin,
Um,
got it, got
yeah,
it. I should
but
have
don't
asked
worry
you
about it.
before how to pronounce your
No, it's
last
good. Don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, no, I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Honored to be invited, and yeah, excited to talk about real estate or whatever we're going to talk about.
name. Yeah, but yeah, man, let's get into it. Why don't we talk about your background? Share a little bit about your time with the Peace Corps and how it influenced your decision to get into real estate.
So the Peace Corps definitely didn't influence my decision to get into real estate. It was just something I kind of like decided I wanted to do when I was in college, before I even knew or found out about entrepreneurship. In college, probably sophomore year, I just kind of made the decision I wanted to do that. And then senior year, I started figuring out about entrepreneurship. But at this point, I'd already kind of committed my head to doing the Peace Corps, and I liked it. I wanted to do it. It was an amazing time. Lived in the Dominican Republic. It's
Nice.
basically I'm my main quote unquote my main project was helping a microempresa, like a small business of women who made peanut butter. And my joke basically was for 2 years I was basically a peanut butter salesman in the mountains of the Dominican Republic, which was
Wow,
fun. It was a good time.
I'm sure.
But then came back, I knew I had an entrepreneurial vision from like as soon as I kind of learned what entrepreneurship was.
Hmm.
Um, I kind of grew up in San Francisco and in a very liberal environment, like so liberal that it was kind of a very much like money is the root of all evil.
Okay.
I realized money is the root of almost everything, good and bad, right?
Yeah,
So money is just a amplifier of good and evil. So
absolutely. Yeah, it really shows the
anywho,
true colors, right?
right. So, anywho, did the Peace Corps, started learning about real estate, realized real estate is definitely just the best business ever by far.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, we're going to do this. I'm into this.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Now, what were the first steps that you took into real estate investing? And once you decided to pursue it.
Well, I started going to meetups and they were all like buy and hold meetups. And I'm like, I don't understand how people do this if you don't have any money and you're broke. Because like the most I'd ever made in a year at this point was $8,000. Right. Because because that's how much you get paid in Peace Corps. You don't get paid much.
Yeah.
Um, so uh, I learned about wholesaling, and wholesaling seemed like the best business ever. It's all about just making relationships with other human beings,
Hmm.
uh, then using that relationship and solving another person's problems, getting something under contract, and then flipping that contract to someone else. That seems so much easier than any other business I knew about. Like no inventory,
Yeah.
no logistical problems really. It's just all about just getting a deal and then selling the deal, right? And that's just a relationships based game. I don't have to create a product. The house is already there, right? It was everything that I wanted to do. It was like this is like perfect. This is the exact type of business I want. Um, and yeah, and then that's basically to this day. I mean, I do a little bit of everything, but wholesaling is by far the most money that I make. Is That's
Yeah.
been my most profitable venture by far.
Awesome. So who introduced you to wholesale? Like where did that
It was
seed
at a
get?
meetup. It was literally at a meetup, and I was like just asking people. I'm like, how do people do this without any money? I don't get it. Like, I just don't understand. Right? And then they started mentioning it. I started doing research, go down the YouTube University rabbit hole. This was in 2000, so Max Maxwell was really big. So I started learning stuff from Max Maxwell.
Mhm.
Eventually get hooked by a YouTube ad by a guy named Josiah Grimes, who is also Jamil's business partner, his more silent business partner.
Mhm.
An ad talking about what if you didn't have to be cold calling all the time, right? And this is pretty funny because I like literally all my tech's not working, and the only thing working are my old cold calling headset,
Look
right?
at that.
So that's why I'm
Back to
wearing it right
basics.
now. Yeah, I'm just like, all right, well, this thing just plugs in, right? So, and it happened to be charged. I'm like, all right, screw it. We're just gonna do the podcast with this headset on.
Rock out.
Is what it is. Um, and the whole ad was about like, what if you just did this without cold calling? What if there's a better way to wholesale? I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, I'm intrigued. Let's see. They sold me, got a part of the Astro flipping program, started there, learned a ton, like was super duper helpful.
yeah.
Loved it, loved that program. Eventually joined Sub 2. Basically did my first deal, used that money, joined Sub 2, and yeah, then I went off with the races of Pace and Jamil being my mentors because they're the best mentors ever. So it was like, wow, I got lucky. I got
Yeah.
lucky I didn't get scammed. I could have easily been scammed, to
That's
be
so
honest.
true. That's so true. I remember when I first learned about wholesaling, I went to Fortune Builders. I don't know if you remember them. And
I've heard of
they
it.
were talking about, flipping, and it was a free event that they had local. And yeah, they're like, yeah, you can join our mentorship for like $80,000. And I'm like,
Damn.
okay, how do I figure this out? I don't have $80,000 at the time. I went home talking to my wife. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get this going. We're gonna, all I need is $80,000. She's like, slow down, slow down. She's like, do some research, pray on it, try to figure it out, see if there's another way to get this done. And then I started doing that. I slowed down, and then I found a mentor, Justin Williams, works with Bill Allen. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, seven figure flipping. And he actually got scanned by that company and started his own so people wouldn't get scammed. So
Hmm.
I was able to join his mentorship, and that's how I got into wholesaling. But later on, I remember Josiah, and I remember their marketing for Astro Flipping. They were
Yeah.
like, you tired of all these marketing channels? And I actually did the course as well. So I was already doing
Nice.
JVs. I just didn't know that you could take it to that level like they were. So it was pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
Love it.
man. So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced early in your real estate career?
The biggest challenges in my real estate career at the beginning was just so I don't recommend people do it necessarily the way I did it. I just put everything on a $10,000 credit card with 0% interest and just made the minimum monthly payments.
Yeah.
Because I literally didn't have any money. I think I had like 4 or 5K in a bank account.
Mm,
And I was living with my parents and just doing this that way, right?
yeah.
Um, I think just the stress of being like, can this turn into money already? Like at the beginning, right? With the
Yeah.
very beginning. At the same time, I knew it had to, because I was just looking around at everyone. I'm like, there's no shot all these people are that much different than me. There are way too many people making money around me,
Yeah.
right? That's why I feel like real estate was the best type of business to choose too, because there's tons of businesses where it's like, I don't know, like tech companies where it's like a lot of people do tech companies and really don't make it, right? Like the vast
Yeah.
majority. I
No,
feel
no.
like the vast majority of real estate investors who actually work at it do make money, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's what it feels like anyway. I don't know. The people who aren't successful usually just don't have the work ethic or don't or give up. That was pretty stressful. I just didn't like the idea of not having money, right? That always was the biggest stress. Um, or like not being successful.
Mhm.
Um, well, the challenges at the beginning are just figuring out what the hell is going on around you. I
Yeah.
feel like
Mm,
what does that even mean? How do I sound professional? How do I say this? And the thing is, you also don't know if you're ever doing anything right.
mm.
Um, with the mentors, it helped, but they don't give you constant feedback. They're giving you like weekly feedback, right?
Yeah.
And you get like a couple questions with them, but in the sense of just like every day being like, I have no idea if I'm doing this right or not. I have literally no clue. I could
Yeah.
be just absolutely fumbling the bag here. And then eventually you just keep doing it enough where you learn that no, you are doing it the right way or doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that's always the initial challenge.
No. Yeah, for sure, man. That's so good because I remember even at my first closing, I'm like, "What am I doing here?" You know what I mean? Like, how did I get to this place? Like, I'm at the closing table, and then I got my first check, and then I was sold. I was like, So how long did it take you to get your first deal, like actually close and make
Took
some
me
money?
4 months.
4
Took me
months.
about
Okay.
4 months, from when I made the decision to start a business, but I made 10K, which was cool, but I didn't make another check for another 8 months,
Mm,
right? Um, and the reason for that was, at least in my head, I was doing too many different things.
mhm.
Shiny object syndrome. I was
Yeah.
doing direct to seller, I was doing direct to agent, I was doing JV. I was trying to do everything all at once as a solopreneur, which I
Mm.
don't even remember how I even attempted to do that. Um, and this is my metaphor for it. It's like you're trying to cross a river, and you see people building different bridges. Somebody built a wooden bridge, another person built a stone bridge, another person built a brick bridge, and you get the genius idea to just build all three bridges, and you only build a third of any bridge, and then you don't cross the river. You got
Wow.
to choose one. You got to choose a bridge to build and just go with it. They all cross the river. They all get you rich, but you just got to choose one,
Mm,
right? So I really tell people, be focused as much as you can and JV everything else out. Even in my own business, I JV out dispositions just because I don't like it. I just love acquisitions, and I can create a killer sales team, right? That makes it where I can get money way quicker than most people because they have to worry about dispositions, right?
yeah.
Eventually I'm going to add back on dispositions, but like it's something that I like doing where it's like if I can build $1 million business on just acquisitions, I mean, once I get if I can start working on dispositions pretty soon, and then that's immediately 15% more profitable. So,
Mhm,
but I say everyone should narrowly focus as much as possible at the beginning,
mhm.
and then starts expanding out once you actually are making money and a master of at least one thing.
Why don't you help our listeners understand creative financing? You know, 'cause it is a unique niche, so
Sure. I mean, creative financing, in my opinion, breaks down basically into two things: subject twos and seller financing. Here's the basic way to break it down. Seller financing is, let's say you have a house, and Mr. Seller, instead of me going to Chase, getting a mortgage, giving them the down payment, making them monthly payments every month, what if I gave you a down payment and I gave you monthly payments every single month directly to you? So
mhm,
you make the profits that a bank makes, right? That's seller financing, right?
yeah,
Is where we're just skipping banks. You're just going to finance me.
mhm,
A subject to is basically, instead of me going out and getting a different mortgage at 8%, why don't I just make payments on your mortgage at 3%? That makes it where I can buy this house for a higher price,
mhm.
right? I mean, there's a lot in creative financing. There's all sorts of stuff, but
Yeah,
I think those are the two are the most common strategies,
for
I
sure.
would say. Um, and yeah, and it just fascinates me, the idea of buying a house that way, because I always been taught that I need 20% down, and have to get qualified through a bank, when instead I've just bought like 4 or 5 houses that I just I didn't have to qualify for a bank for anything. I just
Yeah.
bought them,
Yeah,
which
it's
was much
definitely
easier.
yeah, that's awesome. Have you built a portfolio based on this, on
Yeah,
creative financing?
4 or 5 houses, not many. Like, I
Nice.
feel like I should probably be doing more, but
Mhm,
I've learned they're a distraction. I'm like actually like they're cool and they're long-term wealth plays, but owning a rental is kind of a trash business, to be
mm,
honest. Like, business-wise, it's a trash business. For how much it takes off my mind off of my main business, it's definitely not worth $200, $300 a month in cash flow, right?
yeah,
Even with a property manager, you still got to manage the property manager.
yeah,
They'll be worth it in 30 years when I have like when inflation, and they're good inflation hedges, but um, I'm like leaning towards wholesaling more, and
mhm,
then keeping only deals that are like insanely good, like 400, 500, $600 of cash flow. Um, and then potentially partnering up with other people who do other strategies like midterm rentals and Airbnbs and stuff like that, potentially. And um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm like debating it right now, how much I want to keep growing the portfolio, and how when it becomes worth it in that
yeah,
way.
yeah,
Um, because I think what would make it worth it is if I started a property management company, but I don't really want to do that. I'd rather just make the wholesaling business just insanely profitable.
yeah,
Um, Even more profitable. Like, I'd rather just get, like, I feel like I could get the whole, if I didn't. focused so much on rentals, I could get the wholesaling business to $1 million a month, right? I think that's
Nice.
possible,
Yeah.
you know, and
That's
that would be a lot better than owning, you know, 20 rentals, even though it's sexy to say, right?
yeah.
So I don't know. This is an internal debate in my head of like, how many more rentals should I buy unless, and I'm thinking I'm just going to be insanely picky. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do it right because it's a way to generate wealth, but I could clearly see that your passion's in the wholesaling in that monster of a business that you already have, especially in acquisitions, so that's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
I mean, if I get $1 million a month, right? And let's say, I don't know, overhead's 500K, right? That's 500K a month. I can make some fucking wealth from that, right? That's what I
Yeah,
my head is like. And this is the thing that people, yes, what being wealthy is better than being rich, but also you need to, I think getting rich is the first step to getting wealthy. If you can
absolutely.
increase the income where you're getting five, let's just say, I mean, obviously I'm not there, but let's say you were getting half a million a month,
Mhm.
right? Like, and then you invest with that money, right?
Yeah,
Whether it's through, I like lending more. I'm starting to get more into lending than
nice.
lending out my money. And I like that way more. That's just way less headaches. It's literally like, oh, I just get a check every month, actually. So
Yeah,
I'm liking it more. I might go down more. I might start more like a lending business and not, I don't know. I'm like debating what other than the wholesaling, what areas I'd want to go down. Maybe I'll go down all of them. I just feel like owning rentals, you really got to like be willing to start a property management business, which right now I'm just not willing to start a property management business. I'm just like in my headspace, that sounds like not the move. But I think you got to really be willing to do that if you're going to own rentals. I'm realizing. I don't know.
yeah,
This is a
absolutely.
debate, but
Yeah. Are you tired of feeling stuck, unsure how to break into real estate investing? Or maybe you've done a few deals, but now you're struggling to scale. You've heard the success stories, you've seen other flip houses or wholesaling properties, and maybe you've even tasted some success yourself. But you know there's more potential and you're looking for the next step. I get it. I've been exactly where you are. My name is Marco Cabrera, and I spent years building a real estate investing business from the ground up, starting with little to no experience. Now I'm here to guide you on your journey. Through the Investors Club, I've helped hundreds of people, whether they're just starting out or doing a few deals a month, close more deals, scale their business, and build real, lasting success. In the Investors Club, we follow a clear, proven plan to help you succeed in real estate. Learn the basics. If you're new, you'll start with an easy to follow lesson on wholesaling and house flipping. If you're experienced, we'll help you sharpen your skills and identify ways to grow. With the support of our community and practical tools, you'll start finding more deals, improving your processes, and building real momentum. Whether you're just trying to land your first deal or scaling up to six figures, we'll provide the strategies and support to take you to the next level. Now, the only thing standing between you and success is taking the next step. Join the Investors Club community today. It's free and you'll get immediate access to online courses, resources, and a network of like minded people ready to help you succeed. And yes, it's free. So imagine having the confidence to spot a good deal, the knowledge to close it, and a network of investors to help grow your business. Whether you're just starting or scaling, the Investors Club will guide you from your first deal to consistent long-term success as an investor. Or you can stay where you are, watching others grow, feeling like you're stuck doing the same deals or missing out on opportunities. It doesn't have to be that way. With the right guidance and support, you can move from stuck to scaling. So take action today. Log on to school.com/investors club. That's school, SKOOL.com/investors club. Let's build your real estate future together, whether you're just starting or ready to level up your game. See you there. But at least you're in a good position where you're able to make that decision on what you really want to do and pursue, right? And that's the goal, and I think that's the fruit from entrepreneurship. From you're risking it all, but at the same time, you're creating this freedom where you can make the decision on what direction your company goes and yourself, right?
yeah,
So why don't you give
100%.
us a memorable deal that you made successful, like something that was just out of the ordinary, certain deal that you
I
could.
can tell you probably the most complicated deal I ever did, and the one that I made. This is probably one of the most complicated deals I ever did, and I made a freak ton of money on it, which was really cool. So here's what I did. Um, there was a house. It was in California. I was gonna wholesale it for 100 grand, right? The buyer backs out last minute, right? luckily, I've been building up private money resources and relationships and hard money resources for a really long time.
Mhm.
So I was able to get a hard money loan in like 5 days, right?
Nice.
Pretty good terms too. It was like 2 points, 10% interest. This was right when rates were hiking.
Yeah,
Um, so it was solid, right? And I highly recommend for any wholesaler watching, build some private money relationships. I guarantee you it'll be worth it, even if like you want to be able to buy a house if it's like an insanely good deal, right?
for
Just in
sure.
case people are screwing with you. It would have been terrible if I couldn't have closed on that house just in case because it was a great deal, right?
Mhm.
Um, what I did then, right, and I did this just to be fancy, honestly. Like I could have just resold it, probably gotten like 125K right there and just moved it
Mhm.
along.
Mhm.
But I decided to get fancy with it. So what I decided to do was I was like, okay, you know what? Let's see if any of my buyers would want to be financed, right? Like what if I sell or finance to someone else, right?
Okay.
So what I did was so I have my loan for a year,
Mhm.
10% down, 2 points, 10% interest. What I did was I resold it on seller financing to another investor friend of mine. I
Mhm.
did 12%,
Okay.
10% down, but then also 125K higher in the purchase price, right?
Nice.
So, is there anything? Oh, and 2 points. So I mirrored the loan is
Uh-huh.
basically what I did, except I added a little bit of interest on it.
Yeah, 2%.
Um, so I was making 2% on the original loan. I got 10% down of a higher purchase price, so I made more money up front than what I had put in. Then I also am making 2% um, every single month, and I'm also making 12% on my assignment fee, right?
Whew.
So that was a cool deal.
Very cool.
Um, that was a pretty solid, and also we can get really complicated. So my loan, after 6 months, the interest rate went from 10 to 15%. So I also made it for theirs, where it went from 12 to 17%.
Mhm.
Um, and they took a really long time on the project. I don't know, it just was taking a while.
Mhm.
Um, so eventually, after the 6 months, it also that 2% stayed the same on the
Mhm.
original loan, but then I
Mhm.
also was starting to make 17% on my assignment fee, right?
Wow.
So I was getting like in profit like $2,500 a month, which is pretty cool on a single deal. At the end of the day, I get my 125K assignment in the end, like after a year. It ended up making like a deal that was going to be like 100K assignment fee into about like 180,000 because I
Nice.
waited,
Yeah.
right? So creative financing can be cool, right? That's my most profitable deal to date on a single deal, and it was cool and creative, and I liked it, and it made a good story, and it made for good content. So that's kind of why I
Absolutely.
did it.
Yeah, that's sweet, man, 180K. And how long
Yeah,
did it take you to make that whole thing? Like about a year and a half,
a
2 years?
year.
A year?
No, a year. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. It would have been like 100K within like 2 months,
Uh-huh.
or 180 if I was willing to wait for my money, which is solid, right? Um, you added up like the differences in points, the differences in down payments, the difference in what I sold for, all of that good stuff. It was either 160. I think it might have been 160K. I think it was
Okay.
160 when I think back. I don't think it was 180, but that was a
Wow.
while ago. But that was like a cool story.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Now, any other deals that were just a strictly assignment? What was the most that you've made on an assignment deal?
The most I've made on an assignment is 140K, I think.
Nice.
That was a cool one too. That was a direct to seller, just cold calling. My original market, my main market, I still do deals there, not as much as more, was San Francisco Bay Area. So average home price there is $1 million, right? That's
Mhm.
why like my biggest deals are huge fees, right?
Yeah,
Um, because that's easier to do on $1 million house than a $300,000 house, right?
absolutely.
So uh that deal was crazy. There were squatters.
Oh,
Um, it was like tent city, but it was also I think it was like half an acre in San Leandro, California, which if you know that area, that's unheard of, right?
mhm.
To have that much land in that area.
Yeah.
So, um,
So in San Francisco, when it comes to, getting tenants out, it's a little
impossible,
difficult,
very
right?
hard.
I'm in Jersey,
Very
and it's
hard.
very hard here, unless
Very,
you
very hard.
use the right tactics.
If you're in San Francisco, the city, it's actually almost impossible,
Yeah.
basically, or Oakland. But San Leandro, it's possible. It's just gonna be aggravating.
Mhm.
So, anywho, so we make it where the squatters get out. That's a long story. The woman was basically like letting friends stay at the place and getting used for her kindness, and that was really sad. Um, I honestly didn't even think it was going to be that big of a fee
Mhm.
when I initially offered. I mean, I hadn't seen the house yet. She told me she had an addition that was like 200 square feet. It ended up being like 800 square feet.
Mhm.
Um, and that just increased the value by an insane amount, right? Having this like crazy big addition that
Yeah.
so um yeah, that deal, there was a lot of escrow problems. That was really hard to deal with.
Mhm.
She had, like, a mortgage on there from, like, 1981, which, anyone knows that's, like, more than 30 years ago, so we're like, "Okay, this should have been taken off,"
Yeah.
right? There were just random title issues, squatters, so many problems to solve, but once we solved all the problems, it ended up being a 140K check, which was cool. And it would have been 160K, but I actually double closed it because
Yeah, that
I
was my
was like
question.
I was like, "I am absolutely not risking anything, and I want this goddamn money." I do
Yeah.
not want my buyer to be, like, tripping about 160K. I
No,
have to deal
absolutely
with
not.
that.
Yeah, double close all day
Um,
long.
yeah. So, there was, like, 20K if you include the transactional funder and the transactional lender, and then also the, just extra escrow fees, but, yeah, that was, like, the best straight up, more or less assignment deal, wholesale
Yeah.
deal.
That's awesome, man. So, a lot of people want to get in real estate. They're always interested in it, but they're worried about the risk. What would you tell somebody? What advice would you give somebody who's interested in real estate but worried about the risk?
Well, wholesaling's not risky at all,
Mhm.
right? At least, I mean, your only thing is your time risk, in my opinion, right? Um, Life is a risk. In fact, you're going to die eventually. You're 100% guaranteed that you're going to die. So, yeah, everything's freaking risky. Going to school is risky. Getting married is risky. Having children is risky. Life is risky,
Yeah,
right? So, it's just because of your environment that you think it's extra risky compared to
mhm,
having a job. Having a job is risky. If you get fired from your job, then you've lost literally all of your income,
yeah,
right?
hmm,
Let alone as like see, as an entrepreneur, like, all right, yeah, there are bad months, but at the same time, like, would I rather have it where like when I definitely don't have a job, I definitely don't have any money, or would I rather have it where, okay, maybe I had a bad month, maybe, we broke even, or we even had a negative month, right? But next month I could quadruple that just
yeah,
by making a few shifts. So I don't know. I think real estate investing is less risky if you actually think about it,
yeah.
right?
Good.
Um, Having a job is risky. Everything's risky.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's my answer to that.
yeah, that's good, man. So, based on your experience, where do you see the real estate market heading in the next few years? Well, first of all, what markets are you
I'm
in? You said you were in San Francisco.
Mainly Colorado and California,
Okay,
NorCal and Colorado, and a little bit of Florida too, but I'm much, much more focusing on Colorado.
okay,
Um, I like I like here's the thing with California. It's like 1 to 3 deals a month, but the average is like 40K
hmm,
assignment fees.
yeah,
I'd rather have it be 8 to 10 deals a month and the average assignment fee is 10 to
yeah,
15K. It spreads out your risk a little bit. I'm liking this model more where it's like more deals but smaller assignment fees
hmm,
than like the huge buckaroos of like 100K or whatever, you know? And
yeah,
even in Colorado, I'll still get like 50K deals, 60K deals every once in a while, right? I like Colorado because it's a good mix. Denver's very California esque. Average home price is like 750. But then
hmm,
there's also Colorado Springs, which is like average home price is like 400K, right? Which is
hmm,
lower than anywhere in California, right? So it gives me a good mix of
hmm,
different possible home prices. So I really
yeah.
like that. Um, what was the question? Was it just what
So,
markets I'm
where,
in?
where do you see the real estate market heading in the next few years, especially the markets that you're in?
Honestly, I just don't care. Real estate is going up always. At like it's gonna eventually go
Love
up.
that answer.
Maybe it'll go down. I really don't. I just am not. I find it uninteresting and uninteresting. Like not like saying you asking it is uninteresting. I
No,
find it
yeah, I got
when like a question that's completely useless to anything I'm doing. Right. In a recession, you just have to switch strategies somewhat. Wholesaling, I still think is around even in a recession. It's just you have to buy things way deeper. Um, Buy and hold gets better in a recession a lot of
you.
times than
Mhm.
in my opinion than in the good times, right? Because you want to buy low and keep forever, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Theoretically. Um, so I have no idea. I'm not even sure if we're in a recession or not right now. It's very hard for me to tell. I am
Yeah,
too insulated from the rest of America,
yeah.
right? I see people complaining about inflation and I see people complaining about things, but I also don't know. Um, I don't know. I literally my only real gauge is some of my friends who aren't in real estate,
Mhm.
and all of them have jobs and are making a ton of money. So I have no clue. I just really don't know.
Hey, that's the best way, I think, to run your business. Keep the blinders on, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't care about the election. I'm gonna keep just doing exactly what I was doing anyways. I
Yeah.
doubt it's gonna make that big of a deal, right? I don't remember it affecting my business in the last election that much. I know everyone says that,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, like there's little things that it might get slipped up, but like the general principles always remain, and then you just keep going. I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, man. Well, that's awesome, bro. So, how's being an entrepreneur changed you personally, like as a person?
You're forced to self-develop as
Okay.
an entrepreneur. I feel like if you just have a job, you don't have to self develop. You can kind of just stay at whatever level you're at if you feel like it. As an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, if you want to make more money, you have to become better. That's
Mhm.
just it in the end. You have to somehow, your thinking has to change. You have to self develop in whatever way in order to be able to even make more money or in order to be successful. So I've changed everything, honestly. Like, I mean, just like my thought patterns about the world, how I view it, um, what it means to be successful, what it like how to just run a business and learning how to be a good enough leader that that you deserve to be running a business, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um it's changed mostly everything. Like in terms of like what I work on all day.
Mhm.
And how I view the world and all of that. Yeah, it's changed a lot. There's I think there's almost too much in that question for
Yeah.
me to be able to answer. But I feel like the main thing is you constantly have to be working on yourself and becoming better. Otherwise, you stagnate and then you start making less money.
Yeah. No, I agree 1,000%. As an entrepreneur, you constantly have to learn what's going on, in your business, learn how to work on your business, not in your business, and
Right.
leadership. I think it's key, in the growth. Now, what are your future goals, projects in real estate, or anything else that you're excited about?
Mainly, I would just want to like the wholesaling business is the thing that I like the most. I like doing it the most. I think it's the thing I'm gonna be the most profitable in,
Mhm.
specifically in real estate. Eventually, I think it'll be cool to own some multifamily as well and really start getting into multifamily. I think that solves a lot of the issues that I've had with single family rentals, to be
Mhm.
honest. Um, that intrigues me. I'm not very intrigued by flipping. I've done a couple flips and I'm like, this is trash in comparison to wholesaling, in my opinion. But I really would just want to. My main focus is I really want to get my wholesaling business to 1 million a month. Right, I'm not even close. Right, like I'm at like a tenth of that, but I
Yeah.
that's like a much more intriguing goal to me. I
Yeah.
like the idea of just having like I know tons of real estate investors are like, oh, I want to own all these properties and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that's cool and all that. But in the end, what's the coolest thing is just having a freak ton of money. Like having businesses are more intriguing to me than real estate in and of
Yeah.
itself. Like I'm not even sure. I might skip owning real estate altogether and just start buying businesses after I get my wholesaling business to where I want it. I think wholesaling caps at about 1 million a month. I
Mhm.
don't see many people, even the most successful people, really get past that unless they start doing coaching, franchising, like really start doing other things. I think straight wholesaling, I haven't seen many more people make more than 1 million a month.
Mhm.
Um, I wanna own a business that's like a $12 million business.
Mhm.
Then from there, as long as that's running, then we can always use that cash for whatever the hell I want. It might be lending, it might be buying other businesses. Like maybe I'll just buy a property management company and then start buying rentals that way, you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't know. The main focus is let's just grow this wholesaling business to a monstrosity. It's really what I think of in my head every single day. That's what
That's
excites
awesome.
me.
That's awesome, man. Now, are you the actual operator in your company? That you're in there in the trenches every day?
I am like I keep hitting it like here's how business is in my opinion. You start here, you go up, and then it's a circle, you go back down, but you're not quite as low as you were before. And then you go up, and then it's like a circle, right? It's like you keep circling generally upwards, right? So I've had times in my business where um I'm the operator, right? I've had times in my business where I had other people operating in it. Right now, I am the operator
Okay.
um, at this moment, right? Probably the next step. Um, I I want some of the sales guys to be somewhat better than they are right now. I feel like the next step after the sales guys are really bringing in where I want them to bring in. They're like a lot of them are bringing in like 10 to 20K a month. I really want them to bring in more like 40 to 50K a month, which I think
Yeah.
is there's just a few things that change. And then I'll probably the next step will be hiring a operating manager, COO, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
someone who's like really focusing on just building operations. We have pretty damn good SOPs, but even better SOPs. And like I want to I'm it's going to be interesting cuz like how I do it right now is I have a main dispo that I use just
Mhm.
because I've done dispo before, but I realized I could make more money if I just completely did acquisitions.
Yeah.
And what I really want to do is the first task when I hire a COO or an operating manager, whatever you want to call it, is to be like, okay, build out a dispo side. I want to see if you can build out a dispo side, hire people, do the top down approach. I want to see if you're as good as I think you are. If I'm going to pay you 70, 80, 100K a year, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And that would be their first test. And if they're able to do that successfully, great. If they're not, then I'd let them go.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, I
Yeah,
love the
that's no
fact that,
problem.
because a lot of people wanna do everything, especially when it comes to wholesaling. They wanna do the
Mhm.
acquisitions, they wanna do, everything, transaction. They don't sub out or JV anything. The fact that you know where you need to focus in, I think it's awesome, man, because 'cause you're keeping it real with yourself, and it's taking your business to the next level, right? And, yeah, I've never heard that, and that's gold right there, man.
Yeah, I mean, the more you focus, the more money you make, right? That's what it
Yeah.
is in the end. The more you can focus down on what you're insanely good at and outsource or JV or hire out everything else,
Mhm.
the more money you're going to make. That's really what it comes down to in the end, right?
Yeah.
So, um, everything's basically outsourced or JV'd out or I hired out for it,
Mhm.
except like managing the acquisitions team.
Yeah.
And I also enjoy that. I like doing that, right?
Mhm.
To be honest, I like actively enjoy being a sales manager, closing a few deals myself because I made relationships too.
Yeah.
That stuff gives me more joy than operations stuff, right?
Yeah.
Probably what's holding me back is the COO slash operating manager. I probably talking it out, I probably should just hire them now, like anyways. But but I just feel like I could develop the guys more into getting more like 40 to 50K a month each. Because if each of them got 40 to 50K a month, then it'd be like, okay, this is gonna be easy. I'm gonna feel good about hiring an operating manager. And
Absolutely.
then we'd become much more profitable if the dispo was in-house too. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
No, yeah, absolutely, and it's really that's what it's about, right? Once you reach that point where you could bring somebody on, right? You don't wanna, bite too much bite
Which I've
more than
also
you can
done.
chew. Yeah, I think all of us as entrepreneurs have done that.
I've
I
done
remember when I
that
got my
too.
first deal, I went all out, did, like, this, like, 10,000 piece mailer. I'm like, "I'm gonna take over this whole market," and I ended up losing more money. I wasn't capable. I didn't even have a CRM, so I couldn't really manage. I was
Right.
writing stuff on paper, and I just ended up losing more than actually making money,
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
I agree. I've done that several times. I last year we were making out like in a lot of money, but we were paying salaries that were way too high, and then I just like had to get rid of people just because I'm like, this salary thing is too high. We're going back to the commissions based salespeople, right?
Yeah.
That's just a way better model. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
man. But hey, Jonah, thank you for your time, man. Why don't you let our listeners know where they can find you? Anything else that you got going on? Your handle, Instagram, TikTok?
Yeah. If you guys want to reach out to me, at Jonah_Korchin, I have a product. This is probably the best. The ways I could help your audience the most directly is anyone who wholesales really in is Colorado, California, or Florida, especially, but really anywhere in the market, I can connect you with somebody who can help you out with your deals, finding or helping you close deals, helping you sell deals, whatever you need, understanding what you need to buy stuff at so that you're making money in the
Mhm.
wholesaling game.
Yeah.
That's probably the most important thing I could do. I also have my strategy. We didn't even really get into this. My main strategy is direct to agent. I get all of my deals through agents. I don't do
Mhm.
any direct to seller stuff.
Yeah.
So I created a CRM that's
Mhm.
completely based on my method of getting agents. I use the CRM every single day.
Yeah.
I'm constantly updating it based on what I'm seeing, right? It's everything I use, templates, scripts, workflows. We threw a little bit of ChatGPT in there to switch up messages.
Yeah.
So that's called simplesend.com, simple without an E. So it's SIMPL send.com if you guys are interested in that. Um, and then, yeah, and then I'm just constantly making content, helping you guys out on Instagram, my name on YouTube as well. I'm going to start streaming every Friday where I'm just going to show you guys my entire day. And you guys
Nice.
just get to see what a business looks like every single week. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's basically it. That's like the
Yeah.
entire it's all the stuff I got to sell and all the ways I can help out your audience out.
That's awesome, man. I'm so glad you brought up your CRM, SimpleSend, because I actually made a transition. We were using Freedom Soft, well, Freedom Logic, which is like a white label of Freedom Soft,
Mhm.
and it just wasn't working for us anymore. And we were doing direct to agent as well, as long
Mhm.
also with direct to seller. But once I saw your method, we actually bought your CRM, man, and
Oh, love it.
it's amazing. We actually, quick story, we're actually locked in. Two deals from one agent literally on the call. Like, we were doing the outreach, we got on the phone, we locked them up, we got a buyer in 4 days. We should be making about 60K on these deals
There you fucking go.
through your system, bro. So, hey, listeners, it works. So
People
make
are
sure you
making
do that.
so much money with Simple Send. I love hearing it. Somebody came up to
Yeah,
me the other day. His name's Matthew Cunningham. Came up to me. I was at a conference that I never knew him before, and he's like, "Bro, all I've done is watched your Instagram videos and your YouTube videos,
mhm,
and then I bought your system, and my God, that just changed everything. Now, like,
everything.
I'm now making like, I think he said he's making like, at least 20 grand a month, and I think sometimes 20 to 40 grand a month, something like
Nice.
that.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, he's like 21 or 20 or something like that.
What?
So yeah, I know he's
Loving
like
it.
a young kid, and I loved it. That was the coolest thing ever. So yeah, no, the system is a powerful system. It is
It is.
very automated to just having leads constantly come in, right? So
Yeah.
it's a good system.
No, it's good. Yeah, I have it, and, yeah, we'll definitely put it in the show notes so people can check it out.
Yeah,
But,
100%.
Jonah, thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for all the value that you're giving our listeners. And hope once you reach 1 million a month, we could bring you back on the show and you could explain how you did it. How about that?
I'm down. Let's do it.
Th-
I'll let you know when that's hit. I'm hoping. I think it's possible within the next 2 to 3 years. I think it is possible. We got a lot of work to do. It's going to be a completely different company, but
Yeah,
we're at the beginnings of it. I got my first office, or I'm about to sign a lease for my first physical office, and I think that's going to help out a lot too, instead of just being virtual. But yeah, man, I'm
awesome, man.
down. I'll come on when that happens.
Good stuff, man. But thank you again for coming on, and we'll see you soon. Make sure you follow him, Jonah Korchin.
There you go.
All
That was
right,
right.
all right, cool, man. Hey, have a great weekend. Again, thanks again, and we'll be in touch.
100% appreciate you.